Welcome to How's Your ePresence? I am Mark Galvin, your host, and this show is produced by ePresence. We are so glad you're here to learn new ways about solving marketing challenges that you run into. We're always trying to find that new little spin that you don't already know, or maybe you do know, but we can make that one little bit of knowledge a little better about digital marketing or marketing in general. We've had so many wonderful experts come and join us lately that the expanded knowledge base, if you just simply go through our YouTube channel, you can get a lot of things answered. We're always trying to answer a question. How do I fill in the blank? So for example, how to use data analytics to find your target market, or how to improve your SEO strategy. We're always looking for new guests. So if you have a topic or you know someone that we should interview, let us know. We would love to reach out to either A, find somebody who can speak to that topic, or B, reach out to the person that you think could expand that conversation. Let us know. We'd love to chat with them. You can just simply respond right here on the channel where you are, or send us a note. However you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on our website, epresence.me. If you're just tuning in, be sure to ask us anything. We love live questions. We will throw that right at our guest. We love the interaction. So please ask anything. Try to stump our guests. We always like that. Today, we're going to talk about some really interesting things. We're going to talk about how to use live streaming in your business, just like this. We're going to learn about finding revenue through live streaming and podcasting. And then we're going to find out why podcasting in general is networking gold. So stay tuned. You can learn some great things there. In the future, when you're looking for this show, you want to find us, simply search ePresence, how to use live streaming. So, of course, the thing that's important to us here, we want you to subscribe. And if you will, hit that button down there, subscribe to YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow our channel on LinkedIn. That way you'll get a notification when we go live and you can jump in and ask us a question, learn something a little new from all of our wonderful guests. All right, so who do we have today? We have Amani Roberts with the Amani Experience as our guest. So this guy is a graduate of Howard University, and he's been a DJ since 2008. Now, this isn't someone who's been sitting around and he decided to follow his passion. No, he's a full-time professional. He was a hotel GM. He was a director of sales and marketing. In fact, he was a regional director of sales and marketing. And then he decided to follow a passion, which was he jumped in and he started DJing while it was probably a secondary job. We need to ask him that. But he lives in LA. And now he is the Chief Musical Curator for his company, the Amani Experience. Has a weekly podcast, which is called the Amani Experience Podcast, where he talks about why people took the leap from corporate life to creative life, which is obviously what he's done. He's an adjunct professor with Cal State Fullerton. He's teaching entertainment money management, and he's the co-director for the Center for Entertainment and Hospitality Management. With my hospitality background, I understand why those two are so related. Entertainment and hospitality are very much, if not siblings, they're definitely cousins. He's also he's on the board of Meeting Professionals International, the Southern California chapter. He's the president-elect for that chapter, and he'll be the first African-American president for MPI Southern California. He's an enrollee at the Berklee College of Music, which means he'll get his master's in music business in December of 2021. Maybe we should have him come back and we'll celebrate him. Have a little celebratory show when he earns that diploma. The thing that's most important, though, we'd like for all of you to remember, he has a book, DJ's Mean Business, which is it's DJ's Mean Business. One night behind the turntables can spin your company's success. So there's a lot of great things that we can learn. That the book came out in April of 2020, and you should definitely take a look at that book. So while we get into this, before we jump and bring him on, make sure you ask questions. So please ask a question during the show. We'll be happy to throw that in front of Amani because I've got a feeling he knows a ton. Well, I'm kind of tired about talking to myself. Let's bring Amani out. Where is Amani? Is he there? There he is. Welcome, Amani.
Thank you very much. I love the introduction. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, that's my pleasure. You got some pretty awesome experience. The fact that you were a hotel GM and director of sales and marketing, and I know it wasn't director of sales, it was director of sales and marketing, which means you had a very complicated, larger team, and then regional director of sales and marketing. You are someone that was fully entrenched in a corporate life before you jumped over to become a DJ. Tell me, why is it that you wanted to be a DJ? What is that pull? What does that look like?
Well, when I was in college at Howard, I saw a DJ by the name of Biz Markie, and with the impact and the effect he had on the crowd was amazing. And I was like, I want to do that. But when I was younger, I really was kind of stuck in the corporate mindset. Didn't think that that was a legitimate career. So when I waited to pursue DJing. And so I went and traveled to many cities, lived in many cities. I would still watch DJs. Finally, when I got to California, I said, life happens. You lose people in your life quickly. You realize that tomorrow's not guaranteed. I know that's very cliche, but it is very true. And I said, you know what, let me try to pursue this and see how far I can take it. And here we are 13, almost 14 years later.
I would sit back and as a business person wonder if I could make enough money at pursuing my dream. I mean, it's one thing, everybody can pursue a dream, but you can also lose your house, right? You got to make money. So I'm impressed that you were able to follow your passion and then flip it into a money-making enterprise. My hat's off to you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I hate this. The show's only 30 minutes long. I'd love to talk about that for the whole time. And maybe that's what we talk about in December, because it looks like you're coming back in December. You didn't know that, but now you do.
Okay.
Let's talk about live streaming. Why is it so worthwhile?
For a couple of reasons. I think, first of all, live stream is free. Like, you can do it. You can live stream to any platform, whether it be YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, your website. It's free. It's an easy way for you to create a visual connection between yourself and your customers. People can tune into your live stream. You can bring guests on, like you have me on your live stream today. You can turn it into a podcast. It just creates a lot of content. It's live. It's kind of how we're moving towards where TV is going to become more interactive. So if you have a live stream, people can ask questions in the chat, you can respond, you can call them out. We're slowly getting away from traditional TV shows, first of all, that are linear, where they broadcast at the same time each week, where we have live stream broadcasts where people can interact, you can bring people on, very spontaneous. And I think it's just an easy way for you to connect with your customers consistently and allow them to see the people behind the business, because people nowadays really, they buy from people and not really from a brand, if that makes sense.
I think it makes total sense. So this is interesting. Last year, I'm a big America's Got Talent fan. Mm-hmm. I really like that show. I like the way you get real stories and real emotion. I think it's fascinating. Last year, they switched to in middle of the show, COVID hit, everybody went home. And so they started an experience where you had all the fans, they had all these monitors, and they were interacting somehow. And I thought this was fascinating. They had people who had their computers on a table interacting live with them. That's kind of the first step of that. And I think people after this last year will get more and more comfortable with saying, yeah, I'll jump on a video and I'd love to ask somebody a question. I would love to have a chat with Heidi Klum. I'll just tell you, I would do that in a heartbeat. She is so cool, right? And to be able to know that I could have that chance, that is kind of cool and a lot easier than it used to be.
Yes.
So I love that. I think that that's really cool. Now, how can entertainment's one thing, right? But how can a business use live stream and make it worthwhile?
I mean, you take any kind of business. Like, I love to talk about like a business like plumber. Well, a plumber, it's a very personal business. So they're coming into your house, they're checking out all the pipes and everything that you have. And many times they have to get into your bathroom, into your kitchen. So that's a very personal profession. But if you were able to see a plumber who's going to live stream himself or herself fixing, someone's kitchen or bathroom, or they're in their own studio showing just different how-to tricks about how to keep your plumbing up and running in the winter when pipes are freezing, or in the summer when there's lots of flooding. Like, that's just going to create a really personal connection. And you're going to remember them. You're like, you know what? I'm going to try and call that plumber that I saw on Facebook that was talking about this. And then the plumber's perspective, they can turn that into creating content so that they establish themselves as a subject matter expert. If you have a lot of content going up on like live streaming, you can take that, cut snippets up, put it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. And then you can also add the content to your website. So it's just many levels to it. And I think it just creates that personal connection because people buy from people.
They do. And there are, I think that it would be interesting to live stream a repair, right? I certainly do this. When I have a repair person in my home, I have a tendency to kind of walk in and look over their shoulder, see what they're doing. That is a great way to do that. Yeah, okay, now they're live streaming. And what's interesting is I go to YouTube all the time and I'll pull up a video that'll help me do something. If that person was local, because everybody I see is not local. If that person was local, I got a good shot of saying, I'm over my head on this. I need to call someone. That could yield business. Oh, that's brilliant.
Well, good.
So you do a lot of interviews. You do podcasts. You have a podcast that you do once a week. How do you find guests for your podcast?
I do research. I'll reach out to people individually that I'm interested in interviewing, and then I also get a lot of referrals. I ask people whenever I finish, I said, now that you've been through the process of interviewing with me, who do you feel I should also talk to who's at a similar journey to yourself or myself, where they've gone from the corporate life to the creative life? Who comes to mind? And usually I'll get at least one or two people, and then you kind of follow the process, trying to follow up with them, get them interested, and bring them online to interview. Those are probably the two main ways. Then I have like a bucket of like dream guests that I would love to have, and I just keep reaching out to them every 2 or 3 months and go from there.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. There may be no one out there that was interested in that question but me. So thank you. I think those are some good tips. But when you're using podcast interviews as a networking tool, how does that work?
I think podcasting is kind of like the new wave of networking, where it creates like an intimate connection between like yourself and myself. Like, we're going to remember this interview. We're going to have a record of this interview. I'm going to remember our conversation about Marriott and Atlanta and the city. And that's a very quick connection, but it's lasting. And I think that if you allow someone to appear in your podcast, that's a very personal ask and a personal give. And then we could spend 30, 40, 50 minutes talking. When I interview people, I view it as like a masterclass. I'm attending a masterclass that they are teaching. And I just think that nowadays, when we're moving around so fast, we can actually slow down for 30 minutes and really have a conversation, and I can learn something from you that's very valuable because we're moving so fast. And I think that then the networking part also comes in when they're going to refer me to a friend. So that means that they're trusting me with their guests and their network, and it just kind of grows from there. And I think that people view podcasting a little differently, but it's a very effective way of networking. It can create some strong connections and get you more business.
I think that's brilliant. So I started doing a podcast. Everything about How's Your E-Presence started in an in-person venue here in Atlanta. There's a business internet radio station called Business Radio X. And I would go there once a month and invite people in. And it is a great way to, I'll tell you, one of the neat tricks is if I have a target that I'm trying to get in front of, it sometimes is very hard to get them to engage with you. I could simply send them a note and say, would you like to join me on a podcast? I'd like to hear more about your business. Chances are likely I could get them to respond. Now, I think that there's a shelf life for that. I think that type of invitation is, I think that after 5 or more so years, everybody's going to say, I've had a shot to be on a podcast, so I'm not going to do that. But you will still, I think this will be true forever. If you know someone and you'd like to get to know them better and you ask them to be a guest on the podcast, it is a great way to network. You and I have a purpose here. You have a reason to show up. So great. Check that. you're definitely going to show up at the time. And while we do that, if we can build a little rapport, that is honestly, that's gold. All right. And that's how you put it. It is networking gold. Rock on. So you wrote a book. This is impressive, right? I'm always impressed when I see somebody who can write a book. How long did it take you?
Good question. So I think I started writing it, let me think here, like August of 2018. And I was able to finish the first draft in like March or April of 2019. Then the editors got a hold of it, sent me back the edits in May of 2019. I will be honest, the edits really kind of hurt my feelings because she was a phenomenal editor. She was a phenomenal editor, and it hurt. And it took a couple, 3 or 4 weeks to kind of get through that. That's real. And then I was able to complete the first edits by like July 4th weekend, 2019. And then I think we had to go through a couple more edits. So I would say it took me from August 2018 to October 2019 to get through the process. Then it takes a while for it to kind of go through printing and all of the other things. So it was ready to go in like January, February. We scheduled the launch for April 14th. The pandemic hit in March 2020.
Yeah, great timing.
Oh,
Amani, man, what were you thinking? Trying to write a book when there was a pandemic, right?
I know.
So sad on that timing.
Yeah, but it went well. I did a virtual book launch, which went very well. I featured some of my students as like performers.
Cool.
I read it, Q&A. We made the most of it. And this was early in my live streaming career because I did not know then what I knew now, and it still went pretty well. So you just kind of keep rolling with it.
That is very cool. All right. So it took a little while to write. You worked really hard to get that executed and dropped. My hat's off to you. The diligence and the focus is impressive to me. So why? Did you write it just to make a buck? Was it to make money? What was your main motivator? Which is, by the way, if that was the motivation, my hat's off to you there too. But what was it that said, golly, I need to write this book?
It definitely wasn't for the money because it's really hard to make money off a book initially. It takes a while. I think really I wanted to, for a couple of reasons, continue to establish myself as a subject matter expert in the creative space, and writing a book would do that. I really am passionate about sharing with people, the general public, that DJs are very intelligent people. They're very creative. They're also intelligent business people. So I wanted to show that we don't just press buttons and speed up a record and slow a record down and shout on the microphone. We run businesses. We do marketing. We're able to think on the fly. When we're DJing in person, we have to maybe triple or quadruple tasks where we're talking about, okay, what's the next song I'm going to play 3 songs from now? I have to make sure that the boss is happy, the crowd is dancing. Then when you add in live streaming, it's like not only that, you have to engage in the chat, you have to check the technology. So we have the ability to do 4 or 5 things at once to do it well, and we have a voice, and we don't want to be discounted. So it's more on the behalf of the DJs in the world to let people know that we're also legitimate business people, we're creative entrepreneurs, and we're ahead of the curve. And then I just wanted another way to grow my business, and I wanted to really open up the opportunity of guest speaking. So once you have a book that allows you to speak at conferences and conventions more, it just gives you, it's like a bigger business card, and it allows those opportunities to open up more. So I think you combine all 3 or 4 reasons, and that's why I wrote it. And that's kind of the pathway I'm walking down right now.
I think this is impressive. I'm no DJ expert. I have done a DJ gig once because someone didn't show up. I really think that's what happened. And I was, remember those little records? They were like this big. Actually, maybe they're like that big. And they spun at 45 RPMs.
45s. They call them 45s. Yes.
Yeah. And I had like multiple trays of them that I had to carry in and out. So I did that once, and after that, I said, "This is hard," and you've got people constantly coming up and telling you, I play this song. Well, back then, I could just say I don't have it, and that's it. Well, today, you probably have access to that music. I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, how do you tell someone, or maybe you don't tell someone, I'm not doing that, if that's part of it, or how do you select the music that's appropriate for that specific audience? That cannot be easy.
It's not easy. Reading a crowd is probably one of the most difficult skills it is to acquire. It's never the same. There's never the same people in the same mood in the same venue when you're DJing. That's never the case. So it's different. I think one thing that I'll do is I will always listen to a request, because that is actually how you can learn what is some new music that maybe you haven't heard of. So I'll listen to it. If I have it and it fits, I was like, oh, okay, that's a good request. I'll see if I can fit it in. That makes sense. If it's not, like if I'm playing some Tribe Called Quest and they want to hear Britney Spears, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I can get to it right now. Let me see if I can get around to it. I just kind of put them off, whatever. They might keep coming back. If it's my client, she's like, I want you to play Britney Spears right now. I'm like, okay, let's stop the Mexi. Let's drop it in.
Boom, baby.
Yes. But
so it pays to have clout.
yes. If you have some clout, even sometimes there's been cases where people have given me tips, $100, $200 to play a song. And if it doesn't fit, I still have to stick to the music and moving the crowd. So I might say, okay, I can get to it in a little while. I can't play it right away. It just depends. So there are ways to put it off. Sometimes it does make.
Hold on. So I'm used to, I remember the days where there was a jukebox, right? You go in, you put a quarter and you get a song. People are coming up and giving you $2 to play a song. That's a pretty expensive jukebox, number one. Number two, I can't believe people are that excited about hearing a song. They'll give you a couple $100. Does that happen much?
That does not happen much for me yet. But sometimes there are people who are, you mentioned clout. Some people are trying to show their clout out at a club or a bar, so they want to do that. And sometimes I'll acquiesce. Other times I'll be like, oh, I'm trying to, or we'll see. I'll leave the tip there. So, okay, leave it here. If I play a song, I'll take it. Otherwise, you can take it back. So it just depends. Yeah. So I try not to be swayed by the money, because I want to stick to the music, and it's all about the crowd and not one person. Now, if the crowd is feeling it and they're gonna go in, a good example would be, I was playing at a club, one of my favorite clubs in Venice, California, and I think I had played, I think it was Notorious B.I.G. Juicy. And I played Juicy, and someone come up and said, you know what, you should play Lauryn Hill, Killing Me Softly next. And they're around the same tempo, about 3 or 4 BPM slower. I was like, maybe. But then the more I thought about it, I said, that kind of fits, same era or whatever. So I dropped in Killing Me Softly. The crowd was going for it. And then when it comes to the acapella part where she's just singing, and I cut the volume, the whole crowd started singing along. I said, okay, well done. This worked. So that's an example when it worked out. She didn't even tip me, but I still did it, and it worked. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
So Killing Me Softly is by
Lauryn Hill. Well, it's originally by Roberta Flack, but Lauryn Hill remade it, and so her version is a little bit more hip hop oriented with the bass, the drums, and things like that. Yeah,
one of my favorite songs of all time. I don't mind telling you, that is just a classic. So you have to have a really rockin' memory to know all the music that's out there, to know, okay, that the speed, you didn't call it speed though.
Yeah, beats per minute, BPM, beats per minute.
So beats per minute, you know this?
Yeah, once you DJ enough, and you kind of, it's listed in your Serato, your crates. Like, I know that Juicy is about 94 BPM. I know that maybe Sia Titanium is about 125, 126. You just know these things after you DJ enough. And then I know that Killing Me Softly, I think, is about 90, 91. And then other songs, Rihanna has Work, 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 which I think is about, I think that's like 92. So it's just different songs. But if you DJ enough, you know what the BPMs are, and you just can go, you can sneak it in. You can do double time. Like, say, if you're playing a fast song, like Push It, Salt and Pepper Push It, that's like 134. But if you want to drop in Genuine Pony, that's 67. So you do halftime, it actually meets up. There's all sorts of things you can do, but you just know.
I'm just amazed at that. I think that's amazing. And only because, well, first of all, you're not getting these songs. They're not coming. You don't get a little piece of paper that says, okay, here's a song, 92 beats per minute. You've got to pull that data somehow. How do you get that?
You can either map it out, which is when you listen to a song, you do a little clock, you wait for a minute, you count the beats for a minute, like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 80.
You're literally counting.
You can do that if you have records. You have to write it down. But nowadays, you just put it into the computer and it'll pop up automatically. It'll scan it for you and pop up automatically. So it does it automatically. Sweet. But back in the day, we had to count it out before the computers were too much into DJing. So, but you still need to know the skill of counting out BPM in case you have to do records too. Like I can mix between the computer and records back and forth. So I can't always depend on the computer. I have to depend on my ears too. Like when I'm live streaming, I'll be on one computer has a lot of my music and another computer has the video. So I'll go back and forth between the videos and the computer and it's on the screen, but the computers aren't matched up. So I still have to use my ears to sync it up and make sure that the 2 and the 4 blend together and the 1 and the 3 blend together. So it takes skill, it takes practice.
Yeah, I bet. Do you sit down and memorize music? How do you decide what you're going to remember and what you just live to, you just get used to it because you're listening to it a lot? How do you do that?
I don't necessarily memorize music, but I do kind of remember certain 3-song packs that go together. Like, I could go from this song to this song, this song. It'll work well. The crowd will be into it. And then I can go another direction. And then I have certain songs where, if you just drop it in and they start singing, the crowd will like it. So I kind of memorize songs in maybe 3-song packs or 5-song sets that you can kind of go to if you need it. And it's just like Tetris, just like putting the pieces of the puzzle together and trying to fit it. And then you experiment. Maybe instead of using this 4th song, I'll try a newer song, an older song. And you're always experimenting and always trying to put together. And eventually, it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. You have to take risks. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you say, okay, try that again next time or something different. So it's kind of like Tetris, the way I kind of look at it.
Oh, I think that's cool. And I like that analogy. That makes great sense to me. So, you're there's so many neat things that you're doing here that I'm really kind of captivated by this. I would not, I'd have a struggle if somebody walked up and they named a song and I didn't know it. I would probably not do well. I wouldn't be able to put that together. Being in your space certainly helps. Becoming a subject matter expert certainly helps. But I think that's really cool. All right, let's get back to your book. What's one great nugget that I should look for when I read your book?
One of my favorite chapters in the book is about troubleshooting. And since we're just talking about DJing, it fits perfectly because there's something that will always go wrong in the DJ booth during a set. A speaker will go out, your computer might crash, your needles might get real dusty, so you have to adjust on the fly. Something always goes wrong. It never fails. Same thing in business. Most businesses, something will go wrong. Either the product that you want to sell is not popular, and a product that you didn't even consider offering becomes very popular. So we all, whether it's in the DJ life or in business, have to have the skill of kind of troubleshooting, shifting on the fly, being able to adjust to keep it moving. But the rule is that the music can never stop. So in the DJ world, that means we need to figure out if the computer's crashing, you have to put on your phone something, keep the music playing. In the business world, like you can't just shut down and then figure out a new business. You have to shift, and I hate this word, but you kind of have to pivot on the fly and just go and move, but the music can never stop. And troubleshooting is one of the most valuable classes that I took when I was in my DJ school because it shows you how to follow the signal flow. And in business, you have to see, okay, where's the problem? How can I fix it? I can't let my customers know there's a problem, and we have to keep moving forward. And I think that's probably one of the most valuable chapters in the book, and that's the 11 o'clock hour.
So is the book broken up in hours?
It's broken up like 10 p.m. to 10:15, 10:15 to 10:30, like 15 or 30-minute increments throughout the night, and take you from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. One of my favorite chapters, in addition to troubleshooting, is nostalgia. I love to play slow jams. I'm a secret lover by heart, and so that helps people finish what they can do at the club. But also, if you look at nostalgia, most businesses use nostalgia to recreate themselves. My favorite examples like Nintendo, bringing back the old Nintendo, Adidas with the Stan Smith shoes, Old Spice, they play a lot of old music in their commercials. So nostalgia is a very, very effective way of recreating your business and just bringing in new customers and old customers, because if we're baby boomers or we're Gen X, we remember the songs of our high school. And if you play that during a commercial, I'll be like, oh, I remember this song. And then you pay attention. So it's a nice little auditory trick.
Nostalgia is one of those one of the neatest words because it describes more than just one little thing. There's so much that goes with nostalgia, how it takes someone back. And I will tell you, "Killing Me Softly" is one of those songs. I remember that song because I was a young man, a boy actually, riding around running errands with my mother, and I loved hanging out with my mom. So that would come on the one little speaker in the dashboard of my mother's Oldsmobile Cutlass. And so hearing it mono to me is the way to hear that song. And it brings me back. It reminds me of those times with my mom. So that's really cool. Well, there's so much here. I would love to keep going. And I would love to talk to you after you graduate, right? I'd love to do a little celebratory podcast. So I'm going to do a little scheduled email to you to reach out to you, because that'd be fun. And to hear about the things that you learned while you were going through the Berklee College of Music and getting your master's in music business. And that's a whole nother subject, I'm sure. But in the meantime, how can our audience find you? Where do you want people to go?
Just on any social media, it's like at Amani Experience. That could be, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, everything like that. Amani Roberts on LinkedIn, and my website is amaniexperience.com. So any of those places can find me and reach out, and I love to connect with you.
That is fantastic. Well, Amani, I appreciate you joining us here on How's Your ePresence. The stuff you shared is really cool, and to see the way you have connected being a DJ to business, I think is really interesting. And I'm going to get that book. So I'll track that down. I might have to mail it to you because I may want to get it autographed. Would you be up for that?
Okay. Of course. Yeah, I will definitely autograph it for you. No problem. I'd love to.
I love that. Maybe I need to come out to LA and run into you, have a cup of coffee and get it done that way. There's an excuse.
There you go.
I can call that a business expense. Well,
of course. Yeah.
The IRS will be okay with that.
Take Delta. I agree.
All right, Amani. Well, good stuff. Hang out. I want to chat with you after the show is over. All right. But appreciate you being here.
Of course.
So for the rest of you folks, so glad that you're joining us again. We at ePresence are always trying to find new ways to think about business, to try to solve solutions, to give you solutions, to give you ideas that can help you do your business a little better. What about ePresence? The business that hosts this, the producer, we are a full service social media agency. So that means that we manage personal, company, collegiate. We do webinars. We have consulting, all of these different solutions. We'd love for you to go to our website and check out our offerings. It's epresence.me. That's epresence.me. And there it is, because it's all about you. And we're also about to launch a brand new solution for a lot of our friends that are in the legal industry, and it's called eForensics, where we help people in the legal industry do some research and to find out what they need to know about their clients or the opposition. We are always live here, so add us. Be sure to subscribe to the show, and you'll see there's that subscribe button there. Subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. That way you get notified when we go live. If you would also like to catch us on the podcast, we drop this show everywhere on all podcast channels. So all you got to do is search for How's Your ePresence and you'll track us down. I'd like to thank Morgan Wood, who is our producer. She's also our editor. We love the work that she does. For my guest, Amani Roberts, this is Mark Galvin, and this has been How's Your ePresence?